class, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about 4 types of measurement scales. We're going to begin with nominal. Remember, a nominal scale labels and categorizes observation. It consists of categories that have different names, but does not make any quantitative distinctions between observations. So for example here, we have 3 types of chores. We have laundry, dishes, and taking out the trash. Notice that there is no quantitative distinction between laundry, dishes, and taking out the trash. They're just different types of chores. So in order to use these in statistics, we would need to assign a number. So for laundry, we might assign 1. For dishes, we might assign 2. And for taking out the trash, we might assign 3. The numbers just serve to tell us which category we're talking about. So for example, taking out the trash, just because it received a 3, does not mean that it is a more difficult task than the laundry. It just simply has a number 3, which is associated with taking out the trash, 2 with the dishes, and laundry with 1. So just remember that the numbers serve only to identify the category for the variable. An ordinal scale consists of a set of categories that are organized in an ordered sequence. So we often talk about rank observation here. So for example, you think about people running in a race. The individual that came in first had the fastest time, who came in second had the second fastest time, and the person who came in third had the third fastest time. You could also think about it in terms of high school GPA. For example, maybe the individual that had the highest GPA had 4.0, grade point average, so they would come in as first. The second grade point average GPA was 3.75, so they would be 7. They would be second in terms of rank order. And then let's say the third GPA was 3.25, so they would be third. So we have the rank order of first, we have the rank order of second, and we have the rank order of third. Important to note that the difference between the first and second is a difference of 0.25. The difference between your second and third rank is a difference of 0.50. So what we see here very clearly are we have unequal differences. So we have unequal differences between our ranks. And this is always true of ordinal measurement, that we don't know whether or not our differences are the same size. And because we don't know this, we end up in a situation where we have unequal differences between our intervals. So an ordinal scale, using our chair example, would be you might rank laundry as first, the chore you might most like to do. You might rank taking out the trash as second, the chore you don't mind completing, and you might rank doing the dishes as third, the chore you really dislike completing. So what we know is that there's not much difference between your rank of 1 and 2 because you like doing the dishes and taking out the trash you don't mind too much, but for the third chore you really dislike completing it. So there is a big difference between your second rank and your third rank in terms of chores. In terms of the next scale, it's an interval scale, and that consists of ordered categories where all the intervals are exactly the same size. And this is the way that you're used to thinking about numbers in terms of if we had a number line with 1, 2, 3, you would expect that the difference between 1 and 2 was equal to 1. The difference between 2 and 3 was equal to 1. One thing to be very clear about this type of scale is that where the 0 point is arbitrary, and it does not indicate a 0 amount of the variable being measured, and it does not equal that we have the absence of something. So for example, let's say we're still talking about chores. If you prefer to do outside chores such as mowing, lawn, weeding, we might go ahead and pick something like I always prefer that chore. And what you'll notice here in this scale is that the difference between 1 and 2 is equal to 1. The difference between 2 and 3 is equal to 1. The difference between 4 and 5 is equal to 1, etc. All of these are equal to 1. Now, we could also recode the question, and what we could do is we could go ahead and turn 5 into 0, and then everything that was above 5 would mean that you preferred to do things such as mowing the lawn and weeding. And then any score that was below would mean that you did not prefer to do a chore such as mowing the lawn or weeding. So what we see is that the important thing here is not the 0, but it's that we maintain that interval of 1 between our numbers, whether they be negative or whether they be positive. So equal interval, very important for interval measurement, as well as noting that the 0 can occur in a variety of different places. And those are the two takeaway points. The intervals between numbers are equal, and 0 on the scale does not represent a complete absence of a value. Now for a ratio scale, we have equal intervals, just like the interval scale, but we also have an absolute 0 point. So the 0 point allows us to measure from 0. So this allows for ratio measurement. So for example, you can say that if you have $10, you start counting from 0. So $10 would be 10 times greater than 0 because you'd have 10 times more than 0. Or you could also think about it if you had $10 and your friend had $20, they'd have twice as much money as you do. So having that 0 allows for these ratio comparisons. In terms of the chores, we could look at the following ratio examples. How many minutes does it take you to wash dishes? Well, if we said it took you 15 minutes, we'd be counting from 0. So we know that it's going to take you 15 more minutes than 0. So 0 is very important here, and we know that this is a ratio example. The same thing with dishes. So for example, if you said that you completed 10 dishes, we'd know that 10 dishes is 10 more than 0 because we started counting in 0. Same with how much detergent that you used. So if we think about the amount of detergent you use, let's say you used a quarter of a cup. Well, you started from 0. So again, 0 is very important in this example. All right, so we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.